Aloha, siblings. In this video, I'm going to be, I don't know, some babbling about some stuff. I'll get into more details about it as we go, right? But I'm going to babble, and there's going to be whispering, and it's going to go, left channel, right channel, so it's one ear or the other ear kind of thing. And, yeah, it's going to be basically it. I'm probably going to have some little sound effects or ambient sounds and things like that. At least that's my plan. We'll see how it goes, right? I mean, as many of you know, I don't really write scripts or any of that. I come up with an idea, I come up with a plan, I'll pace around my room and conceive of it and maybe babble and, kind of do dry runs of what I think I want to say and kind of, okay, I think that's the basic idea kind of thing or whatever. And then, then I do it. And if it sucks, then I throw it away and I try to think of something else. I mean, in a way, I think it's a bit kind of like when I used to be, well, some of you will know, some of you won't. I'm a musician, but I don't really play in bands or anything right now. I haven't for years. But way back when I did. And I was very much into improvisational music. So this kind of feeds into that, I suppose, kind of doing it by the seat of your pants, man. Yeah, so that's kind of the plan. So if that sounds good, then I guess we'll continue here in just a moment. I guess, the thing is I will say please subscribe to the channel. Please click the thumbs up, comments, all that stuff. There are links in the description. They may or may not be live. That's, I guess YouTube's prerogative. There is some stuff that has to do with my original channel, and I encourage you please to go watch that channel. It's very, very helpful to me. But there's also like a Patreon and a buy me a coffee type thing in the description. I forgot to mention that, I think. Oh, and the last thing I want to mention is live streams every Saturday night, 8 p.m. California time. I'll do some triggers, maybe sometimes some gameplay and, like Mastermind or something. And, yeah, and then, talk to people, that kind of thing. It's fun. It is. Okay, anyway, so let's get on to the thing. So I think what I wanted to start with, because I get questions a lot about, my worldview, what do I think about stuff and all of that. And, it doesn't surprise me. I'm Mr. Guy with a long beard, right? I appear to be a bit of an eccentric. I think probably that's not a bad description. I think people just get curious, and that's all right, So some of the things that people get curious about in particular are my views on things like religion and politics. I don't want to talk about politics because I don't find discussing politics is conducive for ASMR. So we'll leave that be. But I will talk about religion because I think I can talk about religion, or at least my view of it, and still be sort of, in a relaxed, welcoming, calm manner that could be conducive to ASMR. Yeah, I think I've done this before, at least similarly. So I'm almost certain I have, although I can't think of a specific video, but it seems to me I must have. So I guess the first thing for me to say is that, as many of you know, I'm an atheist. Actually, it's my original channel, but it's not my original ASMR channel. It's the first channel I made with YouTube. It's called W.C. Postman, and I used it mostly just to watch things, and then eventually I started making some vlogs. And anyway, on that channel, I have, in some of those vlogs, referred to myself as the atheist anarchist advocating agape. So atheist, lacking a belief in God. Anarchist, I think that we should dismantle oppressive relationships. That's kind of the basic thing. And advocating agape, if you're not aware or familiar, is it's a Greek word. And it's I get the idea from Christian stuff that I have read, and it's, I think, most commonly found in Eastern Orthodox stuff, because it's a Greek word. So Greek Orthodox, I guess, is Eastern Orthodox. Anyway, it means profound compassion and love for your fellow human, unconditionally, right? Like, give people care and love and support just because they're a human. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And even though I don't believe in God and I'm not a Christian, I think that's a groovy concept, and so I advocate for it. And so that gives you an idea where I'm coming from, at least to begin with, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But So I guess the first thing I want to say is that I do count myself religious, and that view is largely informed by my thoughts on what culture is, pretty much super influenced by a cultural anthropology course that I took many years ago. This was back in the 80s, 1980s. And it really changed my view of the world and how I looked at things. And so it did. But in that idea, or at least I'm not a cultural anthropologist, so this is, my view as consumed and digested by me. So it's sort of my take on it, right? So religion serves a function, right? When you look across cultures, right? It's to do with, how does the world work, right? How do we fit in the world? What are our behaviors? Taboos, all kinds of stuff, right? A lot of these things are found and guided by religious views and points of view, and I'm going to use the word modeling. It is my perspective and view of the world that what humans do is we model our world, right? We take in information. Our brains do this, right? You hear stuff. You see things. You feel things, right? And your brain takes all this stuff in, and it puts together a sense of the world that we experience, right? The sights and sounds and the visions, and so we can kind of have a model of the world in our head, so to speak, so that we can kind of engage with it, right? But even beyond that, what the brain just sort of does in that regard, just constructing the things so we can interact with the world. We also culturally, culture is like, it's the stuff we do and it's the result of those doing, right? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So the way you eat, the way you dance, the way you sing, everything is culture, right? When you're talking about those types of things, we use the idea of culture for that. But culture is also the artifacts that result from those actions, right? So culture is the stuff we do and the stuff we make. And now I lost why I was going to talk about that. Anyways, but my view of culture and the way that it kind of, this sounds kind of silly, but like everything's culture, and it kind of is. But we take in culture, and like one of the concepts is enculturation. So it's like how we learn stuff. How do you get your culture? And it's everything, right? It's basically from the time you're born, the way people treat you, the way they talk to you. That's really what it is, right? The way they treat you and talk to you. You take that information in and you come to learn, like the language, the behaviors, the practices, and, everything. And so all of that stuff is culture, but religion, to me, is a means of modeling the world, right? Back to this idea of modeling. It helps us understand it, right? So like if you want to understand the material world, I suggest you use science. So modeling the material world, my brain wants to go, oh yeah, science is the way to go. And there's arguments for that, that because it's evidence-based and it's consistent. However, religion, when you start talking about metaphysics and, how the world got made, how the world exists, that is a model of the world, right? That you learned, maybe you learned it by going to Sunday school or going to a temple or, whatever. You learned it, via enculturation, by participating probably in your religion, whatever that is. And so you have a model of the world that's kind of couched or looking through the lens of that, right? So when I'm thinking about my inner reality, so to speak, like what do I think about the world? How do I feel about stuff? What, psychologically, what's going on with me? All of that stuff that's very subjective and fuzzy and weird, I find difficult to analyze and pin down with the scientific method a lot of the times. I think most of us do. So, at least for me, there's an idea of, well, what do I do that's beyond that, and it's consideration, right? How do I think about stuff? And I think about how I think a lot of times. And I've read a fair amount about religions and a certain amount about philosophy. I think, well, I don't know, I'm more better read in religion or philosophy. I don't know. I'm not going to claim to be very well read in either, to be honest. So, don't count me as an authority. All the stuff I've read and whatever, I've internalized it for my own purposes and uses. And so, and I feel that's sufficient. I'm not trying to convince anybody else of anything, really. I mean, I'll tell you my stuff. And if you can get insight from it, or, it can help you out, give you an idea, then, yeah. I think most people, though, are just sort of curious. All right, so what is it? What does my religion entail then? Since I've kind of given you a general description of, how I look at, religions. So again, the metaphysics part, how the world works and what's going on and all that kind of thing. Physical world is used with science, and when I'm considering my general internal reality, I do contemplation, I do meditate, although I'm not really thinking about, a form of meditation is contemplation, but then there's another form of meditation that's about relaxation, and there's another thing that's kind of just trying to be, if that makes sense. Anyway, I find these things useful. I think it gives me insight into how I function. And as I engage with these things and I learn facts about culture and religion by reading about other religions and all these things, and it informs me, and the idea about agape and stuff, those things do inform my politics, and I'll stop there with politics. But it also informs most of my worldview. I try to live, I guess, holistically in a way. And I don't mean to, turn this into a new age thing. I mean holistically in the broad sense of what that means, and, not like holistic medicine. Holistic medicine does fit my description, but it tends to get, there's people that use that phrase that they're really trying to be a little deceptive, aren't they? But so holistic in the broad sense, meaning that everything fits together as a whole, right? And so I try to have a holistic view where I can incorporate what I've learned via math and science, what I've learned through, I guess anthropology is science, and that kind of thing. And as I learn those things, and you come to realize how different people look at things, and the fact that they do look at things so very differently a lot of times. And there is a lot of commonality among a lot of religions and perspectives, although a lot of people like to say, oh, religions say the same thing. It's like, I don't buy that. There's a lot of things that lots of religions have in common. And that is the stuff that gives anthropologists the structure to, build frameworks so that they can study these things with, right, and talk about it in a way that makes sense. And having read at least a little bit of that stuff, and I kind of go, I like the idea of that, and I think I get some perspective on that. I came to, so it's like, I have a hard time crapping on somebody just because their religion isn't, I don't belong to it, right? You know what I mean? Now, having said that, I do oftentimes find it difficult when thinking about organized religion. And not to say that every time a group of people get together and organize themselves and the commonality about fellowship is religion, that doesn't necessarily make it bad. But when you start putting that kind of thing together with a power structure where somebody gets to tell you what to do and they get to interpret, religious ideas in the way that they engage you, you know what I mean? Where it's like, you have to believe it this way or else kind of thing. That stuff bugs me. I mean, it more than bugs me, but we'll just leave it at that. So I really do feel like, it's in our best interest to kind of engage with each other in a meaningfully compassionate, caring means. There's a video I'll ask you to go watch, just because it fits in with this, that's on my W.C. Postman channel, and I think the title of it is something like A Survival Strategy. And I'm pretty pleased with that video. And there's also one that's, I think it's called something like the breeding program or something like that, which is more than just an amusing little thing that is one of the, I think I only have like a half dozen videos over there or something like that, but maybe even fewer than that. Anyway, I'm not going to go into what I said over there. It's just because I think it'd be interesting for you guys to go see and to see what you think about what I've said, right? I mean, you can come back here and comment and tell me if you think, whatever you think. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that covers most of what I want to say about that perspective, right? I mean, like if I had commandments, they would be things like, do your best to not harm others, That would be one, right? I'll drink water. This brings me to the idea of maybe why I'm not a big fan of commandment things, because, I don't like telling people you have to do this way. And also there's a thing, like, I'm going to use this phrase, models that rely on absolutes tend not to work, right? So when somebody's going to tell you that they have some sort of absolute truth or something like that, I'm going to go, yeah, I'm not going to buy it, sorry. Everything's contextual. Our entire existence is contextual. And I think that's important that we kind of come to realize that, and then we can interact with each other on more equal footing, right? You can debate somebody about their particular views on a particular thing, as long as everybody's being honest and civil and, that kind of thing with each other. There's no reason to, if we're talking about, because there's a lot of concepts that come out of religion that are beautiful things to think and whatever, right? And I get really frustrated when people come to anger and violence when you're trying to find common ground in a realm like that, It makes me feel like we're missing the point. We're humans. We're a social species, right? We should be nice to each other. We should be more than nice to each other, right? There should be no hungry children. There should be no person who needs medical attention that's not getting it, There should not be hungry people, right? We should be taking care of each other. That's kind of my perspective. Yeah, all right, so we'll leave that at that for the moment. And so where do I want to move to on this, so I can have a smooth transition? I suppose there's not one. So I suppose, I was talking about my meditation practice. And two of the things are, one is to just contemplate things. And the other one being, I guess, the more spiritual meditation, where I'm just essentially attempting to be, like, for example, the illusory ego thing. Hi, my name is Bill. That's a process. It's not the entirety of me, right? It's a process that my brain is doing, and I feel like I've directly experienced and observed that via, still meditation. Anyway, but so the third form of meditation, where I sort of just focus on my breath and that kind of thing, is about just trying to be peaceful and not so much being still for a spiritual sense, but just physically to be peaceful and calm, to get rest, like if you're feeling stress or you're just, sometimes I can get overly tired, where maybe I've been super, super busy and then for a day and something happens and then I have to go even longer than I had planned on and blah, and so at the end of the day you're just really exhausted and maybe even hungry, and so you come home and I'll just get a snack and I gotta go to bed. But sometimes I'm too tired to sleep, if that makes sense. It's like somehow I've kind of, my brain just is like, why can't I just, sleep? It's like, I don't know, I'm not sure what it wants, but so it takes me a minute sometimes to just sort of wind down a bit. And anyway, so at least that's one of the things about, the benefit of that sort of kind of meditation, right? Where you're just focusing on your breath and sort of thing, stress release, yeah. So I guess we can move into a little bit of that, all right? And I guess this is where I'll start doing the ear to ear, at least a fair amount of whispering, probably not only whispering, because I do like to do the soft speaking now and again. But so, let's get into this sort of relaxation thing. Yeah. So I guess the first thing that you need to do is get physically comfortable, right? Sometimes what I need to do before I move into this sort of, get comfy and the sort of relaxation meditation kind of thing is I need to do a little bit of a wiggle, like kind of a jazz hands. I'm not going to do it because my camera goes crazy with it because it has those gesturing things that, make it zoom in and that kind of thing. But I think most people know what I mean when I say jazz hands and, shake your fingers out and maybe just do a little, dance a little jig. Just to, kind of work out some nervous energy and get yourself to go, okay, maybe loosen some stuff up and just go, okay. And once you kind of get like that, then you find a good, comfortable place, whether you want to lay down, on your back, on your side, prone, sit in a recliner, sit in sort of a, the traditional or the lotus position or something like that, I think is what it's called. Or just simply, with your legs crossed on the floor, whatever works for you. Just get physically comfortable. Comfortable. I think that's a pretty decent word, isn't it? I like C and T sounds in words. Like, one of my favorite words is catatonic. So, comfortable. I think that's a good word, too. So, once you've got yourself comfortable, then I suppose the next thing is just become aware of the fact that you are in the position that you're in, right? And maybe notice your body. And is there any place that you need to focus on that is, even after the wiggling, maybe still is a little bit tense? You need to go, okay, let's let that relax a little bit, let the stress come out of it. Maybe it's your shoulders, maybe it's your neck, maybe, it could be any part of your body that just notice it, right? Don't freak out about it, man. Just notice it. And then move on to another part of your body. And notice it. Understand the status of it, right? We're just taking, stock, I suppose, right? Just getting what's going on here, right? And after you feel like you're reasonably aware of yourself and where the tensions are, let's start. I guess what we'll do is we'll do a progressive thing. And so start at your feet. If there's still nervous energy, maybe wiggle your toes a little bit. And maybe even shake your foot, around by, rotating it on your ankle, right? That kind of thing. And if you don't need to, that's fine. Just go, hey, my feet are already just fine, Bill. And as you feel that you've kind of got that under control, just kind of move up your leg. And with both legs, how about that? Into your calves. And, you can again wiggle your foot, rotating it around on your ankle, and notice how the tendons and the muscles in your calf are working, or not. And, once that's all worked out as far as its nervous energy, then we'll move up and become aware of your knees and your thighs. Same kind of thing. If you got to work out any more of the nervous energy, then just go ahead and do some just subtle motions to kind of, okay, come on, let's wiggle that out. Wiggle it out. And then we're going to get up into the core of the body now, right? So your back and your core and your abdomen, right? And now here's a good place to start. Now beginning to focus on your breath, right? Most of us breathe with our diaphragm, drawing our lungs towards what we call the lower part of our body, right? Increasing basically the shape and size of our lungs, thus the interior volume increases and air has to fill it. So we breathe, and then our body fills it with carbon dioxide, and now we've got to exhale, and so the diaphragm pushes the other way, right? So just kind of notice that stuff. Don't worry about how fast or slow. You don't need to get hung up about anything, right? Just kind of notice it, what's going on. And if you do catch yourself, like if there's some tension, like maybe you strained one of your chest muscles doing some activity, or similarly in your back, right? We're just kind of, I guess, being aware of our torso, right? And notice places that need to relax and try to encourage them to do so. And move on, right? We don't want to stress out, right? We don't want to create stress by trying to get rid of stress, right? So just kind of do a little bit of a thing and then we'll move on. It's all good, right? And look it up into our neck, right? If you need to, you kind of do it. Wiggle your head, roll your head around on your neck. I can't do that anymore because my neck is, I have a bad back. I have a bad spine, basically. So I don't rotate my head that way. But you can. Feel free to do so. Yeah, and then I guess that's it. Maybe if you need to, do a thing with your eyebrows, or those people who can, move your scalp and wiggle your ears, or any of that, if you need to do any of that, or you can do with your mouth if need be, right? Any of that stuff. Just, right, so now that we've kind of become aware of our body and where tensions are and stuff, let's come back to just sort of noticing the breath. And, not becoming unaware of the body, but not really focusing on any particular aspect of the body, just sort of in general kind of going, have a notion of how you feel and what's going on. And if you do need to think about, maybe I think I need my legs to relax, that kind of thing. You can kind of just file that into your brain, and every once in a while the thought will probably come up and go, oh yeah, just let it relax, right? That's all you need to say. Just let it relax. Don't wind yourself up about it. Just let it relax. Right? And when you feel reasonably confident that you've kind of got that under control and things are starting to kind of just give way a little bit and the tension's kind of starting to maybe melt a bit and you've kind of forgotten the nonsense that maybe brought you here and you're, what was that again? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. We forgot it for a reason, didn't we? Right? We're here to relax. Those of you who can, maybe get a little bit of a tinkle, right? And so now that you're just kind of being in your body, I guess is a good way of putting it, yeah. Let's return to paying attention to your breath, right? Did I already say that? In any case, it doesn't matter. Let's pay attention to the breath again. Again, not trying to force it into any particular pattern or anything like that, right? And you don't have to breathe in super deep, or I'm not going to tell you that, in through the nose, out through the mouth. I mean, you can do that if you like. I mean, that's an effective way of breathing, but however you feel most comfortable right now, this is just about being comfortable. Just being comfortable. Just being comfortable. Right? And you can feel your breath coming in, being aware of the fact that oxygen is coming in, and the body needs oxygen, right? It fuels the cells, all of the muscle cells, right? They need relaxing, right? They still need the oxygen. They need to relax though, right? Yeah. And your brain needs that oxygen. So that restorative, fantastic oxygen comes into your lungs. And by the natural processes of our body, it creates carbon dioxide. And we don't need the carbon dioxide. Our body would like to get rid of the carbon dioxide. So it says, let's take the carbon dioxide and put it into the lungs so that it can then leave the body. And so I'm going to use the word stale, although maybe that's not the most scientifically accurate word for it when I'm thinking of just the single molecules of carbon dioxide. Nonetheless, I think it's a good descriptor for our purposes, isn't it? Letting the stale air, including that carbon dioxide, right out of the lungs. And maybe even consider the idea that as the exhalation is occurring, that any of the tension and stress that you might be kind of having still vestiges of, it can just leave with your exhalation. As the carbon dioxide leaves, it takes some of that stress right with it. Right? As if the carbon dioxide was the taxi cab for the stress, right? Just right out. And again, just letting yourself breathe at any particular pace, right? You don't have to force it into anything. Just breathe in a relaxed manner. Just relax. There's no reason to be stressed about anything. This is a perfectly calm, and for that matter, safe place for you. You can confidently relax. You can confidently and comfortably relax. You can confidently and comfortably relax. So just relax, letting your breath come into your body and letting your breath leave the body, bringing in restorative oxygen, and it's bringing with it relaxation. And while that's happening, the carbon dioxide is leaving the body and taking the stress with it. As things come in, you can just relax. Right? You know, when you come home from a hard day at work, right, you kind of go, right? So when you're breathing the air in and then let out that stress. And you don't have to do it in that forced manner. I just did that as an example. So just let your breath come in as is natural for you. And let your body exhale as is natural for it. But just while you're doing it, let your mind wander around the ideas of relaxation enters. Stress, anxiety, fear, all of that stuff just melts or is exhaled. All of the negative stuff just dissipates, melts, or is exhaled. So just breathe in and breathe out. This is comfortable for you. Letting yourself relax more and more. At this point, I want you to just listen to the sound and timbre of my voice, both when I am soft speaking like this, or if I'm whispering, or even closely whispering, or even whispering. Don't really focus on trying to comprehend the things I'm saying. You don't need to pay attention. You can kind of just zone out and listen to the timbre of my voice. Listen to the sound of it, its texture, the timbre of my voice. There's nothing I'm saying anymore that has any real intellectual significance. It's all about encouraging you to relax, encouraging you to feel safe and confident, encouraging you to be comfortable, encouraging you to let go of any stress, anxiety. Just drop it, leave it be. It isn't necessary for now. Just leave it be. And listen to the sound of my voice as I speak softly to you and whisper in an unintelligible manner. I want you to listen to the sound of it, the timbre of it, the sound of it, and the timbre of it. Just relax and be. Just relax and be aware of your body. Notice your breath. Notice how relaxed you're becoming. Notice how confident and comfortable you are becoming. Notice that all of your negative emotions are kind of just Listen to the sound of my voice and let it guide you to a relaxed place. Listen to the timbre of my voice and allow yourself to relax. Do not worry about the things that I am telling you or saying, because I'm not really telling you anything anymore. I'm just babbling nonsense so that you can hear the sound of my voice. And allow the sound of my voice to lead you to relaxation, to lead you to being comfortable. You are safe here. There is no need to be concerned for anything right now. You can just listen to the sound of my voice and relax. There's no need to do anything else anymore. Just leave everything be and relax. Notice your breathing and allow it to help you to relax. Listen to the sound of my voice and let it help you relax. Listen to the sound of my soft speaking voice. Listen to the sound of my whisper. And even what I might be saying just now. Listen to the sound as I speak softly. Notice the timbre of my whisper. Relax. Relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. And relax even a little bit more. You will find that you are the most relaxed that you can remember yourself ever being. And surprise yourself by realizing that you can relax even more. Just relax even more. Just relax even more. Get yourself into something that might be described in a silly manner as a catatonic state. I only use that phrase because I like the word so much. Catatonic state. I guess that's 2 words, isn't it? Catatonic. To be comfortable and confident in that comfort. Just relax and be comfortable. Just relax and be comfortable. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. speaking, as well as a close-up whisper. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Relax. And relax even more. Relax. 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 Catatonic. Just relax.